Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I look forward to discussing with you how to get your blessings in any and every season. So come on in and join me. So, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic day today. So, let me make sure that everything is broadcasting. So come on in and join me. So, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic. Okay, all right. Looks like everything is streaming well. So, guys, today, um, first of all, thanks for joining me. And as you come on in, if you would, please put your name in the comment box. Let me know where you're watching from. And I love to shout you out directly. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about excuse me. I'm trying to get over my cold here. I wanted to talk a little bit about how to get your financial blessings no matter what season you're in. And I think this is a particularly important time to talk about this issue, to talk about these things, because as many of you would know, or you probably sense that we are in some unprecedented and uncertain times economically. That there are a lot of things happening both at the federal level, at the governmental level, at the economic level. There are a lot of things happen corporately with different global companies and global brands. And like I said, I don't want to get too heavy into the political piece of it. I wanted to focus primarily how is it that you can continue to live a blessed and fulfilled life, and I'm talking about financially. How can you do that, particularly at a time when things seem to be regressing, things seem to be going backwards, seem to be becoming more difficult? Never before have we been in a place where, as they said, that the next generation is less likely to be as successful as their parents. And I think this is the first time in recent history that that has been the case. So something's changing, something's amiss, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that as I share this information with you today. So today I'm going to be talking about how to get your blessings in any or every season. And this will be a biblical from a biblical perspective. And so I know that many of you guys are believers in the Bible and the Word, and I think the Word or the Bible has information in here that is applicable to everyone's life. And I truly believe that if you read and utilize the information that's in this book, that you truly can uh, receive blessings beyond what you even thought possible. And so I believe that there are principles, there are lessons uh, in this book that can help guide you and help you succeed in your walk of life. And so today, guys, I'm going to be talking about. If you want to grab your Bibles, you can do that. I'm going to put scripture up so you can see it. But I'm going to be sharing from Genesis chapter 41. Genesis chapter 41. Let me also say that I am no pastor or preacher. I am no biblical scholar. I'm just a guy. I'm a financial planner. I'm a retirement specialist. I'm a insurance broker. I'm someone who helps people with their finances, help them achieve more financial freedom and financial security, help them reach their financial goals and dreams and aspirations. And that's what I do. And as I said, I believe this book, the Bible, has some information to share with us. And so today I'm going to be looking at Genesis chapter 41. And so in Genesis chapter 41, what is happening here is that the Pharaoh has had a dream. Okay, the Pharaoh has had a dream, and he's had this dream on 2 occasions. And the dream, I would imagine for him, was so vivid and so real that he looked at this and he said, "Man, I need to know what this thing is. I had this dream twice, and this is a little distressing to me." And Pharaoh said, "I need to know what this dream means, what it actually means." Okay. So let me see if I can share a little bit of that, and if we can see what's going on here, and let me know again in the comments if you can't see. Okay. All right. I'm looking over here. Okay. So, as I said before, we're going to go to Genesis 41. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold, guys. And in particular, we want to go to verse 15, which is where we'll start. Actually, we'll start at verse 9. Okay. So the head cupbearer then spoke up and said to Pharaoh, "Just now I remembered something. I am sorry. I should have told you about this long ago. Once when Pharaoh got angry with his servants, he locked me up and the head baker in the house of the captain of the guard. We both had dreams on the same night, each dream with its own meaning. So it happened that there was a young Hebrew slave there with us. He belonged to the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams. He interpreted the dreams for us, each dream separately. Things turned out as he interpreted it. I was returned to my position, and the head baker was impaled or killed." Okay? So Pharaoh said at once he sent for Joseph. Okay? First lesson. The first thing that I want to point out is, how is it that you can receive your blessing in every season? Here we have Pharaoh, who was the king. He is the head guy. He is the head honcho. Nobody's higher than Pharaoh. But guess what? Even Pharaoh knew the importance of seeking counsel. It says right here in verse 14, Pharaoh at once sent for Joseph. They brought Joseph on the run to from the jail cell. He cut his hair, put on clean clothes, and came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, "I dreamed a dream. Nobody can interpret it, but I have heard that just by hearing the dream, you can interpret it." So, lesson number 1, the first lesson, and guys, you definitely want to be taking notes. The first lesson here is that even if you are the head guy in charge, even if you are the CEO, you're the boss, you're the person that everybody's looking to, you have to be wise enough to seek counsel. When there are things that you don't understand, when there are things that you don't quite get, when there's something that you don't know, this ain't the time to be boss. This ain't the time to sit back and make up stuff. This ain't the time to be hard-headed and fake it till you make it. This ain't the time for you to act like, "Oh, I know everything that's going on. Oh, I'm good. I'm good." Again, I'm the king. I'm the boss. I'm the CEO. I'm the one running this thing. I'm the quarterback, right? So Pharaoh knew that he did not have all the answers. And so the first thing that he did was he sought the counsel of other people to try to get an understanding of what his dreams meant. So he knew the importance of seeking out other people. He sought some other people. He went to he went to a magician and a sorcerer and some other people, but they were not able to interpret his dream. They were not able to tell him what it meant. So Pharaoh says, I dreamed a dream. Nobody can interpret it. But I've heard that just by hearing a dream, you can interpret it. And Joseph answered, not I, but God. Not I, but God. Second lesson. Second lesson. It is important for us to know and to remember that any wisdom, any guidance, any knowledge, anything that we know that might be able to be a blessing to someone else comes from God. It isn't something that just came to you for no reason. It isn't something that you just made up. It's an amalgamation of your experiences, the things that you've been through, the people that you've talked to, the lessons you've learned, right? The L's you took, the lessons you've learned. See, everything in life, even when you lose, isn't necessarily a loss. It's a lesson. So some of them L's that you took taught you a thing or two. And so in this case, Joseph said, not I, but God. God will set Pharaoh's mind at ease. So know and understand. Don't get the big head. All right. Just because you might know a thing or two, just because you might have taken a course or a class, just because you might have a few letters behind your name, don't get the big head. All right. Understand that all blessings flow from above. All right. So Joseph said, not I, but God. God will set Pharaoh's mind straight. And so if we look at 17, he said, in my dream, Pharaoh, I was standing on the bank of the Nile. 7 cows shimmering with health came up out of the river, grazed on the marsh grass. On their heels, 7 more cows, all skin and bones, came up. I've never seen uglier cows anywhere in Egypt. Then the 7 ugly cows ate up the first 7 healthy cows. But you couldn't tell by looking. After eating them up, they were just as skinny and ugly as before. Then I woke up. And so that was the first dream. And then Pharaoh had the second dream, but the second dream was very much like the first in that there was 7 healthy grains, right? Ears of grain. And then the 7 healthy ears of grain were eaten up or overtaken by the skinny, ugly, the shriveled up, thin and dried out grains by the east wind, as it says. And the thin ears of corn, grain, swallowed up the full ears. I've told all this to the magicians. He reached out to some other people before, but they couldn't figure it out. So third lesson, you got to go to the right source. See, that's what's happening sometimes. The reason why we're not being blessed the way we should be is because we're going to the wrong people. We're going to the wrong places. We're going to the wrong source. We're going to the wrong places to try to get the answers that we're looking for. So you've got to be careful what you do. You got to be careful who you reach out to, because guess what? Some of these folks on TikTok and Instagram and IG, all this stuff that you see online, all these gurus and all these experts, sometimes they're not able to interpret and to tell you accurately what you need. And that's the reason why sometimes we're not getting the blessings that we truly, truly want to see in our season. Okay? So that's the third lesson. All right? I'm telling you, it's going to be tons of lessons in here. And you just have to read it, and you just have to be looking for it. Okay? You have to have your mind open, go to the right source, and you have to be looking for it. So let's go on. He said, all right, let's go on down to verse 25. Verse 25. So Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's two dreams both mean the same thing. They both mean the same thing. What is that? God is telling Pharaoh that what he is going to do. The 7 healthy cows are 7 years, and the 7 healthy ears of corn, of grain, are 7 years. They are the same dream. Let me say it again. I don't think I read that correctly. The 7 healthy cows are 7 years, and the 7 healthy ears of grain are 7 years. They are the same. Now, the 7 sick and ugly cows that followed them up are the same, are 7 years, and the 7 scrawny ears of grain dried out by the east wind are the same. They are 7 years of famine. 7 years of famine. So, what Joseph just told Pharaoh was, listen, these two dreams that you've had are both the same. It was so important for you to get this message that God sent this dream to you twice because he didn't want you to miss it. So he says, hey, you are going to have 7 years of famine, 7 years of feast, and 7 years of famine. Okay? That's what that dream means. That things are going to be lush, things are going to be great, things are going to be abundant for 7 years. And then following that, you're going to have 7 years of famine. So why am I talking about this right now? If you just look around, all you have to do is just look. If you just look, I think, will recognize that we might be headed into a season of famine. Why do I say that? Let me first say that I studied economics in college. Okay, so I have a minor in economics. So let's look at this very quickly. So what do I mean? Recently, over the past, I would say the past 6-7 years, we've had a stock market that's been increasing, that's been going higher and higher and higher, right? We've had an economy where interest rates were extremely low. We had an economy where the middle class was able to consume and to buy things, right? And now we are in a season where it looks like the government is not going to be spending money to expand the middle class anymore. At least for the foreseeable future, it looks like they're finding every single thing that they can find in order to try to cut, in order to make sure that that spending doesn't continue. Now they're going to say that it's because we want to make sure that that the government has money that we're able to pay back the debt. So truthfully, let me tell you, these are all smoke and mirrors, because when we start looking at the tariffs, for instance, the tariffs ain't nothing but another word for a tax. See, when a tariff is placed on goods from Mexico, from Canada, from China, or from wherever, that is a tax that is paid by the consumer or the person purchasing the goods. So if you are the American and the good is coming from China, Mexico, or Canada, guess what? First of all, the company who's making the good or selling you the good has to pay the tax. That's number one. And then number two, what they're going to do is they're going to pay that tax on to you. They're going to pass it on to you and make you pay for it through the goods and the services that come. So a tariff is nothing but a tax. Okay. So when people say that they're gonna reduce taxes, all they're doing is trading one tax for another. So if that's an extra 10%, an extra 25%, an extra 50%, however much it is, that's an extra tax that's paid by the consumer, by the person who is buying the good. That's the next point that I want to make, is that anytime you have a tax on goods, a tax on goods and services, it is what's called a regressive tax, meaning it helps people who are in higher tax brackets, but it hurts those who are in lower tax brackets, because more of the person in the lower tax bracket, more of their income is now going to be paid out in tax. So maybe you don't pay as much in income tax, but that difference is going to be made up in a tariff or in a consumer tax. Okay. All right. We know government debt is at an all-time high. We know that interest rates are high. We know that companies and corporations, global hedge funds and global funds are buying up housing and houses. They're the ones who are actually raising the prices of interest rates. They're the ones who's able to borrow the money, and they are buying up housing. They are running up the prices of goods and services. They are running up the cost of education. They are running up the cost of health care. These are all things that's going to impact you as an individual. So, can you now see why I say that this is likely a period in time where we're looking at a season of famine? It's been all good just a week ago. It's been all good for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But ladies and gentlemen, the stuff is about to hit the fan. Okay, it's about to hit the fan. So, what is it that we need to be doing right about now? And that's the reason why I'm having this conversation. And I hope you guys stick around, because you're going to learn some things here that's going to help you get blessed in every season. So, Pharaoh has asked Joseph, what is the meaning of these dreams that I've had? Joseph correctly has said, hey, we're going to have 7 years of feast, and then we're going to have 7 years of famine. That is what's happening. Okay. So if we continue on, boom, boom, boom. He's saying, hey, this is what God is going to do. Let me go on down to verse 30. So right here, he said, So he says, so Pharaoh needs to look for, this is what Joseph told him to do. Joseph said, so Pharaoh needs to look for a wise and experienced man and put him in charge of the country. Wise and experienced. Then Pharaoh needs to appoint managers throughout the country of Egypt to organize it during the years of plenty. Their job will be to collect all the food produced in the good years ahead and stockpile the grain under Pharaoh's authority, storing it in the towns for food. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. So, in the years of plenty, in the feast, this ain't time to be balling out. This ain't the time to be doing your thing. This ain't time to be buying your Rollies, your Louis Vuittons. This ain't the time for you to be buying your Bentleys and your Rolls Royces, your Land Rovers. This ain't that time, because we know what? Good times don't always last, right? Only the smart, only the wise will last. Okay? And so if you are someone who's doing very well, you have a good income, you have a great family, you're able to take vacations, to buy stuff, right? I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to be wise and to be prudent. Okay. What it does not say in this version of the Bible, and I think this is really important. So let me find a different translation because I really want you guys to hear this part. Okay. So if we go on down, he said, hey, boom, boom, boom. All right. I'm looking because I really want, okay, this one should be here. Because right here is what you're going to learn that you should be doing in order for you to be able to be blessed in any season. Okay? So let me see. All right. It says right here in verse 34, chapter 41, let Pharaoh do this and let him appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of plenty. There you go. That's what you need to be doing. See, too many times, like I said, when things are good, when we're hanging, we're balling out, we're making more money, right? Oh, oh, everything is lovely, right? We're buying clothes, we're buying shoes, handbags, we're balling out, we're at the club, we're hanging out with friends, and we're buying stuff, right? We're making it rain. We just balling out during those 7 years. And what he's saying is, you got to be saving some of your money, some of your resources, some of your assets. And he goes on to tell you exactly how much that you need to be saving. How much did he say? He said 1/5. What is that? That is 20%. Key point. That is the fourth point I want you to know. If you want to be successful, if you want to get his blessings, you want to be wise, you want to seek counsel, you want to listen and take action. And that action needs to be that you take 20% of everything that you earn in the good years and in the bad, because it's that 20% that is what's going to save you during the times like these, like right now, where, like we said, government spending is going by the wayside, not to help middle class. Big companies and corporations are going to be laying off people. We know taxes are likely to go up for those people who are in lower tax brackets. If you're making $400,000 a year, you're going to be good. If you're making less than $400,000 a year, according to the tax policy and tax plans, your taxes will be going up. All right. So you need to be saving 20% in the good times and the bad. Good times and the bad. So it said in verse 53, let's go on down. Boom, boom. Let's continue. It said, then the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Egypt did what? Ended. And the 7 years of famine began to come. As Joseph had said, the famine was in all the lands, but in all the lands of Egypt, there was bread. You see how taking action, how being wise, and how being prudent how saving 20% of their grains, you see how that works? It says right here very clearly, famine was in all the lands, lands with an S, meaning in all the various places, right? But in all the one land of Egypt, there was bread. And there was bread because Pharaoh was wise. He sought counsel, he listened, and he took action. Okay, so listen to me now. Here's what happens when we don't listen, when we don't take action, when we don't seek counsel, and when we don't save money. So let's continue. So when all the land of Egypt was famished, so all the other lands have been have been decimated. When famine finally came to Egypt, excuse me, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And he said, then Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, he said, go to Joseph, and whatever he says to you, do it. The famine was over the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians the grains that they needed so that they would not die. Okay? But let's continue. Let's continue. So the story goes on. The story, we talk about Joseph, how he has been restored. He is the second in charge. It talks about his brothers, the same brothers who sold him into captivity, who at first thought about killing him, but then these same brothers had to come to Egypt to get food. And lo and behold, they had to come to the person that they had sold into slavery. They had done evil to Joseph many years earlier, and they don't even recognize that this is Joseph. They don't even recognize that this is their brother. So that's what has transpired from chapter 41 all the way up to now, chapter 47. I want to skip all those things. You can read those. That's a great story. I want to continue and talk about what happens when a people don't seek counsel, when a people aren't wise and they don't listen, when a people don't save their 20%. I want to show you what happens. And this might kind of ring some alarm bells for you, given what's happening now. So I'm looking at chapter 47. Let's go on down to verse 13. And it says right here, now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. Now, there was no more bread. There was no more grain. That's it. All the monies, all the things that they had stored up during this time, all the grains that they had, that 20% that they were saving up each and every year during those 7 years. At this point, they have sold it to the people, because people from all over was coming to Egypt to buy the grain because they didn't have any in their place because of the famine. So at this point, they're like, hey, we've gotten to the place now where the famine is so bad that we ain't even got no bread now. We ain't got no more bread left. Okay? So it says right here that Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. Okay? Joseph brought all that money into Pharaoh's house. Whose house? Pharaoh's house. So, again, when we start looking at your Facebooks, your Apples, your Nvidia, your Amazons, your Walmarts, these big corporate conglomerates, global conglomerates, they are the ones who are gathering up. They are the ones who are raking in all of our dollars. We're the ones that's spending all this money with them, and all the money is just rolling up. The wealth inequality has been, the gap between the rich and the poor has been expanding and getting wider. Those few people at the very top now own more than the half of the people in the bottom. So there are a few families, a few people who own. We're talking Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. If we look at just those few people at the very top, they own more than the bottom 170 million people own. Okay, that's a problem. So what happens? So when the money failed in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread," begging, "Give us bread. For why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed." We had money. We had money to go and to come to you to buy grain in order that we might be able to make bread, so we might be able to feed ourselves. So now that we've gotten to the place where we tapped out, just give us some bread. Just give us some food so we won't die. What does Joseph say? Same thing Elon says. Okay, well, you ain't got no money. Give up your livestock. So now they didn't gave out all the money that they didn't have. Now they got to give up their cows, their sheep, their goats. And these goats and sheep are means for what? For them to be able to make money with. So to give those over, to give them over, because they ain't got no more money. Now, if they're giving over the things that help that they're able to utilize to keep generating and making money, now they got to give that over to Joseph. Joseph says, "Give me your livestock, and I will give you bread for your remaining livestock." You see this? You see this is what's happening? So when you don't save, the things that you bought during those good years, all of a sudden now you got to give those things up. The big house that you bought, the big house that people buy during the good years that might be a little bit more than they should be spending money on, or those cars or those whips or those different things. See, at some point, the bankers, the lenders, the creditors are saying, "Hey, you gotta get that back. Give it all back. You ain't got the money to pay for it. We need that. We got to get that Bentley. We got to get that Rolls Royce back. We got to get that Range Rover back." Okay. And that's what's happening here. So Joseph bought the livestock and then gave them bread in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all their livestock that year. You see, bit by bit, all the stuff that they bought, gone bye-bye. Gone bye-bye. Because we didn't save. We did not save, and we're not investing. We didn't put aside 20%. We lived at or above our means. And then when things came full circle, then it was time to give up that stuff, right? Next, it says, when that year had ended, they came to him again and said, "Hey, we will not hide from my Lord that our money is gone. My Lord also has our herds of livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of our Lord but our bodies and our land. So, why should we die before your eyes? We both in our lands. Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed. Now they ain't got nothing else left, and now they're just servants. Now they're just slaves. Slaves to Walmart, slaves to Amazon, slaves to BlackRock, slave to these hedge funds and these different companies and corporations that are going through and buying up all the houses. Slave to the Federal Reserve that's raising interest rates on all of the money that you're borrowing, whether it's for mortgages, car loans, credit cards. See, this is what happens. And this is where you learn to protect yourself, your assets, and the things that you have. And you do that by being wise, being prudent, seeking counsel, taking action, making sure that you are setting aside 20%. Set aside 20% of all that you have. Live below your means, and you will be blessed in every single season. I guarantee it. That's what it says right here. See, guys, these are valuable lessons. And what we have to do is we have to be wise, and we have to look at what's happening and what's taking place before our very eyes. We have to understand that Pharaoh, the government, Pharaoh and the government is not here for your best interest. These companies and these oligarchs and these corporations, Amazon, the Sheins of the world, the Jeff Bezos and the Mark Zuckerbergs, the TikToks, they do not, in fact, they don't have to, the wealth gap is beginning to get so wide because what they're selling and what we keep buying, they don't have to make. See, back in the day, when Ford was just getting started with their Model T cars, see, Ford said, hey, I'm gonna put the people to work, and I'm gonna pay them a decent wage. I'm gonna put them through school and give them an education because I need people to work in my factories. But I need people working in my factories, and they need to be making a certain amount of money. So what? They can buy these cars that we're making. Because he wanted to see a Model T in every driveway. You see, that's different. Facebook, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, these companies, they're not making physical products anymore. And the companies who are making physical products, they're making those things overseas. You see? So that means that the wealth, the things that we keep buying from them and not saving our money, all those things, only thing that's happening is going from our pocket to Mark Zuckerberg's pocket, to Jeff Bezos' pocket, to Elon Musk's pocket. And they're going to keep getting, because what they produce and what they do does not require a large or strong middle class in order to buy their stuff. It doesn't require that. Most of the money that they make these days is about data. And that's the reason why Elon Musk was up in the treasury, up in here with his minions, trying to get that data from the Treasury Department. It's all about data. That's how they make their money. And that's the reason why the middle class is not expanding the way that it should be. So you have to be smart. You have to be wise, and you have to pay attention. Or what will happen is you will wind up being a slave. Wind up being a slave. And not only a slave, not only will you be a slave, but guess what? If we go on, he says, indeed, I have bought you and your land this day for Pharaoh. Look here, is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And so it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and the 4/5 you can keep to yourself. So, uh, as seed for the field and for your food, for those of your households, and as food for your little ones. So not only are you going to be a slave, your family is going to be a slave for future generations. Listen, guys, if you don't want to see something like this happen to yourself, to your family, it's all here. It's all here. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about this and share this because that is practical knowledge. That is practical instruction, practical information in order for you to be able to be blessed in every season. If you are wise, if you are seeking counsel, if you are working with people who are able to advise you on your finances, on helping you to strengthen your finances, helping you to get your financial plan together, helping you prepare for your future. If you're working with somebody like me, a financial planner, a financial advisor, or somebody who is a retirement specialist or a wealth strategist, these are people who have wisdom, who can help you navigate the course, the season, especially during the bad times. See, every one of us is going to retire one day. Every one of us. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to in the past, they've said things, oh, I ain't gonna never retire. I love what I do. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep working until I want to quit. The thing is, though, we never know what the future is going to hold for us. And so while in your mind and your heart and your spirit, you might love what you do and you might want to do it forever, your mind, body might not be able to. And so your responsibility is to make sure that you are good in every season. And you do that by saving 20%, investing your money wisely during the feast time when things are going great. So when the famine hits, yourself, your livestock, the things that you've worked hard for, and your family won't be slaves. So there you have it, guys. So I just wanted to share that with you today. I hope this gives you food for thought. And quite simply, I hope this just tells you that they're not playing with us, guys. They're not playing with us. And this thing is real, and we know what we need to do in order to protect ourselves. All right. So with that, if you have any questions about how to prepare for financial security, how to prepare for retirement, how to make sure that you are able to get tax-free growth, right? That you don't have to worry about the government coming and sticking their hands in your pockets and taking taxes out of your 401k and your IRAs, right? Or you want to be able to have monies set aside that you're able to to buy that real estate for investment purposes, or you're looking to make sure that you're able to retire comfortably and never have to worry about running out of money in retirement. Comment, click below, reach out to me. I would love to help you in terms of making that happen for yourself and for your family. All right. So with that, guys, take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.